Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. This is Miss JD once again, recording our second video for today. And as promised in my first video, I am going to discuss the remaining stocks that were trending in today's market. And before I do that, I'd like to invite everyone, if this is your first time to watch my video, I am Miss JD. I do review stocks in the Philippine market, sometimes in the US market if someone requests, then I can also do that because I am active in both markets. I use eToro to trade my stocks in the US market and COL Financial for my stocks in the Philippine market. So both, feel free to drop a comment if you'd like me to review these stocks for you. Okay, so let's get started. I always would start reviewing our index. As you can see, I have it in front of us. The index somehow has created a lower high. So while we recovered for 2 straight days after this heavy decline, but we were already, showing the signs of bearish signals um, as early as 20th of January. So we were on a decline and then eventually we recovered. However, it looks like the recovery that we have witnessed for the past 2 days are just short-lived. And we ended with a red in today's market performance. So what this really means is that we're not yet done with the bearish sentiment of the overall market performance. There could be a possibility that our index could go back to the 6,600 level, which was our previous support area. Okay, so just bear in mind that this index is a collective performance of all the stocks that are in it. We have a total of 30 stocks, 30 plus stocks that we have in this basket. So chances are later on, as we review these stocks one by one, you will see that some may have already recovered, but some may still be on sideways. Overall, these stocks in the index are on the defensive side in terms of movement. Okay, so that's my outlook for the index. And what you will see on my screen right now are actually the stocks in my portfolio, which I placed in my watch list. One thing that will be kicked out here today is AR, because I replaced this with ABBA. Nonetheless, I will go ahead and click all stocks because the objective of today's discussion is really to discuss the stocks that were trending. Okay, so we first talk about Dito. Dito had, as I mentioned in my previous video, there are a lot of good catalysts here. We've been voicing that out ever since each time I reviewed Dito, and I bet everyone is already aware of it, being the third telco, and with us nearing the launch date, and of course, or finishing the technical audit. I think we're just waiting for the result, but of course, the possibility of them passing is really high because they also did their internal testings and they're confident about it. So, what you have witnessed today is just a usual movement when a stock does a gap up, right? Normally, a gap will be revisited. In some occasions, we have to wait for several days before a gap can be filled. But for today's performance, within the day, we have witnessed that. Gap was filled the same day. So, what do we expect here? So, overall, the sentiment is still on the bullish side, but we don't move in a straight line. There will be fluctuations happening here and there, right? So, but tomorrow, I'm prepared that it could potentially go back to the MA20 line. Reason for that is while we reached here, if you have a double bottom, I don't know what you call this, it's like a cup, right? Without the handle. So what do we have here? That is our resistance, And if you are to go back here, so point A, point B, while you had that point A over here, point B now is lower than point A, even though they have reached almost the same level. So in this situation, momentum is starting to decline while they reached the top. And what I see next as a movement could be a continuation going down. But I'm not saying it is going to go all the way down. Sometimes the dip is just really very small, manageable, like what we have here. So in terms of my forecast, we could be just bouncing around the 1238 area. So we could be stabilizing there first before we move higher again. At least that's fine. The stock breathes and then takes like vuelo. Nagbubuelo lang siya before it goes higher again. So that's what I'm seeing in the coming days. But definitely look at Dito for mid to long term, because there's a better payoff if you have that patience. I'm not endorsing or anything. It's just that, well, I'm just basing my statement on the facts. But it's still your call. I personally am a position trader. I do this part time, so I don't really mind sitting on a stock for an extended period of time. So also, for transparency purposes, my base here is around 6.57. So we are already at more than 100% gain. So actually, big thanks to Dito. You are really a big reason why my portfolio is green. So let's continue. ACEN. ACEN is another good story, is what you can see here. We did a gap up. We also filled that gap. So I think that's just normal. We're anticipating some more bullish movements because this stock is also um, uh, has very promising future and potential for to grow. This is a stock that is engaged in renewable energy, uh, managed by the Ayala company. So of course, with these information handy, I personally believe that this stock has a lot of potential to double or triple in the years to come. So what I'm thinking in the short term, because we can also lock in some gains, right? I don't want to wait for super long, but if it will require me to sit on a stock for 2 months, 3 months even, and we can take profit probably around this area, then I can lock in some profit. And then when we experience again some declines, then I can just re-enter. Similar to what I did in the next stock that I'm going to talk about. So for now, ACEN, I am still going to continue placing my sell order around this level, around that 950, 960, because that's the nearest resistance I'm looking at. Okay, so talking about selling, locking in some gains, and re-entering, APL would be the next one. Um, when I first entered in the stock, my average was 0.18, and then it went all the way up, and then we took profit, and now we re-entered. We re-entered in several tranches here. First tranche would be 0.31, second would be around this level. I think I entered in this area twice, and now the average is 0.23. So what you are currently seeing is an accumulation stage at a very healthy level. Okay, if you would like to still consider ABL, the support area I'm looking at is 0.1896. So you can wait for it to probably wait up to here or wait all the way up here. So either way, because this stock also has a tendency to go back to back ceiling place. If not ceiling, it's close to ceiling. So the momentum is still up, it's still high, and chances are we could go back to this area in probably a month or two max. Okay, foreign buying, look, still looking good. MerryMart, we had a rejection right at the MA20 line, but this, you know what, this level is already a good area of support. I personally placed an order at 6.61 earlier today, but it was not hit. So I'm thinking chances of it dropping again would be there, and then hopefully just stabilize and continue moving up again. This used to be a resistance. If you look to the left, that's a resistance. And now that we're going back to that level, that can now become a support area whereby stock would first stabilize, move sideways before it moves up again. Okay, so BSC is still respecting your MA20 line. So maybe what I can do here is just follow the MA20 and maybe you can take profit with those swings. This is the nearest support I'm looking at, around 1 peso. Okay, and then the next resistance, you can wait for it to go back to the 1.89 if you just aim to swing trade this one. Enter at support, exit or resistance. 336,000 on foreign buying, worth noting, yeah. So BSC, as I know, is also a company related to renewable energy. PHA, yeah, very similar to how ABBA reacted to the news. After the news, it did a gap up, but it filled that gap right away. So I'm thinking right now, you can just follow this line. I'm thinking maybe this one over here. Let us see if it will hold. We're sitting at a possible support. In fact, that's an MA20 line, and when we officially cross that line, chances are the MA20 this time will now act as a support, and that's where you will first stabilize before we shoot up in price once again. Nearest resistance, as you can see, this price level was hit at this area twice. Therefore, you can plot your resistance right there. You can either, um, when you place an order, you can strategize. You know that it could potentially reach 3.23, but so to ensure that your position will be or your order will be hit first before it reaches 323, you can even put your order at 321, so that your area will still be hit and executed. So right now, I think the momentum is still there. It was just stabilized first before it moves higher again. I talked about ABBA. Yeah, it is at 120. My average here is 129. I ordered or I um, entered at it a little bit earlier because it even reached as low as 115 yesterday. So I'm thinking we could also be either doing sideways and then recover soon for this stock. We all know the catalyst here. It's their partnership between PHA and this company for the digital bank they're trying to set up. Let's talk about, speaking of banks. We are now in BDO, slight recovery, but we ended with a red. This for me is a bearish candlestick. So chances are we could be going back to our previous support, which is around the 100 level. So is this a good area to start accumulating? I would have to say yes. The risk to reward ratio is somehow looking healthy. The possible risk is, of course, if it goes back to the lowest point here, but the payoff is very huge right over here if you will enter at around 100 level. Okay, what if it breaks down? Even better, because it's like a reset of the price at around 86. So, and from there, once you enter, you can just have to, wait some time and then wait for the stock to mature and then eventually explode to the upside. MAH. I was not able to follow the story here, but today it did a 30% increase in the price. So what are we expecting? Could there be a continuation? I say, yeah, there could be. There's volume. Nearest continuation could be a 3.89. What I'm trying to say here is that if it goes up, maybe we will also experience a minor slight gap up and then push the price higher here, reaching a resistance. And then if the buying sentiment is starting to die down, then chances are we'll also see a breakdown in the price. Question is there a momentum happening as we go higher? My take is there's volume. Yes, that's nice, but your momentum is starting to decline. Okay, so that's another thing we also need to observe. How does it look like when it does, um, it breaches the resistance one more time? If we still have the same outlook here in your RSI, then expect that in the next few days, it could also again retrace. So in one statement, there is a possibility that it will continue to move higher, but there is a resistance nearby that could reject it as well. Let's talk about JFC. JFC trying to stabilize, not much of an action here. So we'll plot our support around the 178 area, 177.58 area. AR still respecting our support right here. We are just waiting for that volume to go higher and break out of this downtrend channel. Okay, but so far it's still respecting our MA20 line. So I'm plotting our support right at the area where it is seated at the moment, around 0.0055. So, or 0.0054. We'll see. The volume also started to decline. So what could that be? People are already tired of selling their shares and are just waiting for the stock to recover. It's a wait and see game tomorrow. We will see. BPI still rejected. The stock rejected or got rejected around the MA20 line. So we're not expecting a lot from this stock. There could even be a possibility that it will go back to the previous low, which is around the 79.74. So is it time to be very aggressive with BPI? I'd say price is already very cheap, but let us wait for a confirmation that indeed we are now changing the direction of the stock. Because at the moment it's just moving sideways, right? So not much of an action. If you enter 79 at 79.52 and you exit at 83.31, I think that's just very small gain, unless you have millions. See that? So if you just enter around 79.52 and then you exit at 83, that will only yield 4.6% gain. So not much. My take on this is really wait for a confirmation. My best recommendation is that a confirmation of a breakout from this level. So when a stock crosses the MA20 line, that's the time for me to say that okay, we now have stopped the downtrend. Because if we enter right here, while it's true that it's way cheaper, the chances of it breaking down in price would still be there, because we're still right, at an expensive level in the short term. Because we already climbed up, go sideways, and chances are we will decline. But if you are wanting to stay there for a long period of time, look at the bigger picture then. Zoom out, understand how far are we from the highest point, how much effort does this stock have to do to go back to this area. So that's it. Okay, so that is our BPI. Not much of an action. I'm not expecting for it to go rally right away, because overall the index is still on a slow pace at the moment. Maybe what you can bank on here is if you enter in the stock, you can just take advantage of the regular dividends that they give away. Okay, so that is it for our daily stock market analysis. for the top trending stocks in the market. And yeah, just drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I want to make sure that I'm able to help. And if this type of format is still okay with you, please drop a comment. You're also helping the channel um, in terms of algorithm, so that uh, YouTube will discover us. If there are a lot of people liking our videos, dropping comments, uh, then there's a high level of engagement. And what happens next is YouTube will promote our videos. Okay, so it will really be a big help if you can hit the like and subscribe and drop a comment. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye for now.